workshop wows. I love workshop wows. I never get tired of seeing them because they're always different. We have some great creative minds in this room, and I am excited to watch them stamp. I always learn so much, and I've been doing this a long, long time. And I'm always wowed. I never want to see their samples until it's time to see them on stage, so I will be just as surprised as you. I love to get home and try new things, and there's always something new during our workshop wow. So please join me in welcoming our first workshop wow today, Rose-Ellen Eastman.
I hope everybody's having a rockin' time today. I am. Oh, I'm stuck. First, my time goes really quickly, but I first want to thank Shelly and everybody at Stampin' Up for throwing me this awesome birthday party. I love celebrating with 850 of my best stamping friends. My time does go quick, and it's already started, I've seen. So I'm going to go through some really fun and simple techniques that you guys can use. I am going to work with clear block stamping, and the first thing I'm going to show you is a general, there we go. So it's a general, just regular clear block stamping, and literally that means I stamp with the block right on the paper, and that makes a really good background for whatever you want to stamp on top of it. I put the masks here because once I stamped that, I'm going to try and get these kind of close. Oh, now it's stuck. Can you still see it? And I'm going to go to a darker ink, and I'm just going to stamp an image on it. So you're going to end up with that. Oh, you guys are so sweet. And through the magic of television, that is going to turn into a card that looks like that. So for the sentiment, I used teeny tiny wishes, and I stamped get well wishes. I did the same thing. I did the clear block stamping, and then I just punched it out, so it has the same technique throughout. Next, something very similar. Am I going too fast? I want to get to the good stuff. Not that this isn't all good, but this is good. So I'm going to move on to daffodil. And this is going to be rock and roll. So if you haven't heard of that before, I'm just going to stamp on the lighter ink and then just rock it around and put it straight down. And it's going to be different every time. And then just move on to an image in the center of that. No need to stamp because my image this time is smaller. So again, you'll end up with a cool rock and roll image. And magic of television. I often like to leave my cards without a sentiment so that I can run home and stamp something, because I'm a last minute stamper and I can do happy anniversary or whatever I want on here. So, now that we've got that basic stamping down, I'm sorry I'm reaching with my wrong hand, I am going to go, how about 2 colors on one block? So I'm just going to take Baja Breeze. I'm sorry. And I'm just going to ink up half of it. I'm starting with Baja because it's a light color. And I'm going to move on to Crumb Cake. And for this card, it doesn't really matter how you get it. I'm just going to do the other side with Crumb Cake. And then I don't want to get you all wet, so I'm going to move over here and just spritz it with water. This is an old Stampin' Mist container that I had just got it all wet. And you see the bubbles on there. I don't know if you can or not. And then I'm going to put it on the watercolor paper and just turn it upside down. And it's going to smush around. It's going to take a second to soak into the paper, and every time you do this, it's going to look different, which is one of the magical things about this, because you really can't mess it up in front of 850 people. Not that I'm counting or anything. So if it gets to be too dark, you can just take your finger, smear it around, different finger for the light blue. Sorry, Smooth it around. And while that's drying, you can end up with something like that. Or something like that, whichever works. So for this one, I would then use my, oh, tell me the name of it, I even wrote it down. By the Tide, I think is what it's called. I'm going to use By the Tide. I always get asked for masculine cards.
Yes.
So I just stamp some fish on there for the guys in my life. Not many, I only have daughters. So that's the crumb cake up on top. I used the coral and the fish, and I tried to make this look like it was trailing behind someone's boat. But as you can see, it's different than even what I just stamped and what I showed you that I stamped last night. And again, for the happy birthday, I used teeny tiny wishes, and one of these stamps that one of these pieces of paper that I had already stamped, I punched out and used that. Now, if you want to continue with the two colors on a block, I used the H block for this one. Lucky Limeade, again with the Baja Breeze. Am I turning it the right direction?
Yes.
Sorry. For this one, I picked You're Amazing. I like to stick with the happy birthday theme. So You're Amazing, and this sort of looked like the hot air balloon to me, so I stuck a baker's twine on there. And just to show you another way, with this one, I don't know if you can see it all that well, but I used some shimmer mist on there. So those are two options for another masculine card. Now, another one I want to try is, once I started using the inks, I thought, well, what if I put my markers on there? So I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but all I did was just took a stamp and used my markers. I did a whole rainbow. And to be fair, I started with the yellow first so I could start with the lightest ink. Maybe I should pay attention to which side I'm opening. Green. So you're going to color all of your markers, whatever color you want, and the good thing about this, sorry, I'm turning for water again. I just did it on Whisper white cardstock this time. It's got lots of bubbles on there, and just flipped it over. And this, again, no matter how you do it, ends up differently. So since I had my markers out, I also, while that was drying for a minute, I used it on the sentiment. And my card ended up looking like that.
Ooh, yes.
Really pretty, just easy cards. And to finish it up, oh, good. If I had my apron on, I would just be wiping it, but. So the last thing I'm gonna do is, because since I could use multiple colors, I decided I'm gonna go with lots of colors on the big, what is this, E, I think, F block. So I started with my lightest color, Pool Party, inked all around. A little Baja Breeze, not a lot, just kind of around. And then Marina Mist, which is just a touch darker. This time I used Whisper white paper, more water, and I got it really soaking wet. And this, if you can get up and see the reaction that's gonna happen here, your reaction too, but I really mean the way the ink gets soaked up into the paper, you're gonna see that it's gonna start to turn white in a second. It's gonna look like little veins as we're all watching, playing the Jeopardy music. But, all right, while we're waiting for that, I will show you what it's gonna turn out to be. And it's just a couple of light blues with some shimmer on it. I put shimmer after it dried, I put the shimmer on it. And this one I added in Tempting Turquoise to that one, so it has a different color blue. And to show you the card, well, let's see how that, you can sort of see the way the veining is soaking up. But to show you the card, this is my last card that I made for you guys. And I used the same technique on the back.
Yes.
Some shimmer paper.
Woo!
And some butterflies. I thought this was a happy actually, that was my last card, but this is my last project. And this was our Easter picture this year. So I hope you guys are inspired to try some clear block stamping when you get back home, or maybe even today if you have some extra paper on your table. And post it on Stampin' Connection because I want to see what you guys do with it. So thank you very much.
How many of you have ever had your birthday with 850 plus people? That's pretty cool. And she was so glad she was first, so now she can relax the rest of the day. Rose-Ellen did a great job with clear block stamping. Let's give her another big round.